Hello, everyone. It's Phil Lee returning with a new edition of Civil War Chat. Today is Monday, the 28th of March, 2022. Our topic today is the Galvanized Yankee. And before we get into that, I want to show you my newest book, The Dreadful Frauds, Critical Race Theory and Identity Politics. This book is important because if those two doctrines become the accepted standard explanation of how our society was formed and how our history was formed, then there's going to be no chance that Confederate monuments will be standing anywhere, and that in general, Southern heritage will be demonized and Southern history will be distorted. If you buy the book and you'll like it, please give us 5-star rating. It really helps us out. That's really important. If you can do that for us, a 5-star rating on all my books if you read them and you like them. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the Galvanized Yankee. A Galvanized Yankee was a Confederate prisoner of war who agreed to enlist in the Federal Army as a way of getting out of the prison camp. Most were sent to the Western Territories to fight Indians so that they wouldn't have to confront their former Confederates on the battlefield. But the subject of today's post had an even more adventuresome experience. 17-year-old Private Henry Stanley of the Sixth Arkansas Infantry Regiment was captured at Shiloh and sent to Chicago's POW camp, Douglas, where he soon enlisted in a Union battery that was sent to the Eastern Theater. While he was hospitalized at Harpers Ferry, Virginia, due to a possibly faked illness. He soon walked out of the hospital, deserting his unit, and traveled to New York. He caught a ship to Liverpool and returned to his British mother, who told him he was not welcome. He returned to New York, where he enlisted in the U.S. Navy and thereby may have become the only person to be a member of the Confederate Army, and Union Navy during the Civil War. He was appointed the official record keeper aboard the U.S.S. Minnesota, but deserted the Union Navy in February 1865. After the war, he became a reporter for the New York Herald, where his byline became familiar to readers of his adventures in America's Western frontier. Soon he asked the Herald for permission to hunt for a Scottish doctor who had apparently vanished in Africa. During his search, he originated the term the Dark Continent. He found Dr. David Livingstone on the 10th of November, 1871, on the banks of Lake Tanganyika. Owing to his reports of the expedition, Stanley came to the attention of Belgium's King Leopold. Intending to organize a colony out of the unknown regions of Africa, the king engaged Stanley to explore the Congo River basin. Stanley became the first white man to travel the Congo River from source to mouth. The Stanley Falls were named for him, as was Stanleyville. In 1884, Leopold controlled much of the basin as the sole shareholder of the Congo Free State. It became a humanitarian disaster, and in 1908, the Belgian Parliament annexed the territory, naming it the Belgian Congo. 4 years later, Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote Tarzan of the Apes, the first of 26 Tarzan novels set mostly in the colony. In 1921, the Belgian Congo opened the Shinkolobé mine, where slave labor extracted radium and uranium ores. It was the world's richest source at the time. Shinkolobé ore was about 65% uranium during an era when a mine with a 1% yield was considered good. Given Nazi aggression in 1939, Belgium shipped 1,200 tons to Staten Island in 1940, where it was warehoused until September 1942, when the Manhattan Project bought it. The project also contracted to purchase 400 additional tons monthly from Shenko. Only 2 shipments were lost during the war. 80% of the uranium in the first atomic bomb, known as Little Boy, came from the Belgian Congo. The ore was refined into U-235, which was a readily fissile isotope, at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which is at the opposite end of the state from Shiloh. Less than 1% of pure uranium is U-235, and nearly all of the rest is U-238. Since Oak Ridge used an electromagnetic separation process, it required considerable electricity, which was the reason that the plant was in the Tennessee Valley, where the TVA could provide hydropower generation. Once in operation, Oak Ridge consumed 1/7 of America's daily electricity during World War II. The plant was operated by an Eastman Kodak subsidiary that was making acetate film from the region's abundant trees. During World War II, Oak Ridge rapidly grew to a town of 50,000 souls, yet it did not officially exist and was not marked on publicly available maps. The U-238 was not wasted. It could be used to create a nuclear reactor, which produced plutonium, also a readily fissile element. And it produced it as a byproduct of the nuclear reactor. Being an element as opposed to an isotope, it could also be more conveniently separated from impurities through chemical reactions. The first reactor was in Oak Ridge, but large-scale plutonium facilities were shifted to Hanover, Washington. Since U-238 was 100 times more available than U-235 and was the so-called raw material for making plutonium, the latter became the chief fissile material for America's nuclear arsenal. The Hanford facilities were managed by the DuPont Company, which was a major supplier of gunpowder to the Union during the Civil War. Okay, that's our message for today, and I want to thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time.